Hello! Welcome to episode 69 of Fluffy Fibres, the French podcast in English on sewing, knitting and occasionally spinning, a handmade wardrobe from head to toe. Hello and welcome to this episode. I do hope you're all doing really well. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome if you're new to this podcast. I do hope you enjoy it, and if you're a returning viewer, thank you so very much for coming back today. I do hope we have a lovely time together. My name is Isabelle and you can find me as Fluffy Fibres on Instagram and Ravelry, and you will find my blog where I write the show notes on fluffyfibres.com, and you will find all of this information in the down bar, where I also put timestamps for every segment of the episode, so that if you're pressed for time or you're not interested in everything I talk about, you can jump straight ahead to the segment that you're interested in. So yes, today is February the 7th, 2019. It's a beautiful cold winter day here. Winter is really here now, and we have these wonderful sunny, very cold winter days, yeah, I absolutely love that. So of course today's making is going to reflect the season as always, so be prepared to see cozy knits and projects and plans ahead as well, and a little bit of sewing as well, which is quite exciting. So today's segments will include my cup of tea, just a little bit of events, a bit of mending, a bit of sewing and a bit of knitting. So yes, I do hope you all have a lovely beverage with you as well. Maybe cold if you're in the southern hemisphere. I know how very hot it's been in Australia, for instance. So yes. So first and foremost, for my cup of tea today, still in my what I've now called my podcasting mug. I mentioned this last time I podcasted, because the French here says thé la pipelette, so the chatterbox tea, you know, blah 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 blah, thé froid. So which in French means blah 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 blah, cold tea. So that, you know, meaning of course if you talk too much, then by the time you sip on your tea it's cold, which is exactly what happens to me without fail every single time I podcast. So yes, I absolutely love this mug, and it makes me think so much of my friend Liz Taylor. I mean, the minute my sister gave this to me, I thought of my friend Liz Taylor, who is also a self-proclaimed chatterbox, just like me, which I'm sure is one of the reasons why she's such a great friend. But yeah, but I'm sure a lot of podcasting friends as well will agree this is a perfect podcasting mug. So in this mug, I'm having one of my latest tea discoveries. I shared this in an Instagram story a couple of weeks ago, I think, which is from my favourite brand of organic tea. It's from Les Jardins de Gaïa, and it is called Fruits Défendus. And it's, I'm sure you can read on the screen, but it's apple, pear, but also just a bit of rose actually. And I think the fact that you have just a little bit of, and it's on a green tea base, which is my favourite. And I think the fact that you have just a little bit of rose petals in there makes it a little tartar, and a little more interesting than just, you know, apple and pear. And I really love this. It's funny because I don't tend to really enjoy rose tea, except when it's just a very small amount in another mixture, you know. So this is really nice. It's a great variation, I think, for winter as well. So for my events first, I just wanted to remind you what I shared in the previous episode, which is that I will be attending the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I'm not going to talk too much about it today, because I talked at length about it in episode 68, and also because I don't want to give, you know, I know how hard it is to not to be able to go to an event that you really want to attend, and then having everyone talk about it non-stop. So that's not what I want to do here. Special thoughts to Becky, who is Soprano Knits on Instagram, and who has the Stringing It Together podcast on YouTube. She is an amazing person all around, really. And she isn't able to attend Edinburgh this year, the Young Festival, and I know she's it's a bit hard for her to see it mentioned. So big hugs to you, Becky, and I'm sure we'll meet some you know, eventually in Edinburgh or elsewhere one day. But yeah, I just wanted to share today the dates I will be actually at the festival. I will be there on the Friday all day and on the Sunday morning, which is the special fringe events centered around local wool producers, which I'm very excited about. So yes, for a bit of mending today, I'm so excited that so many of you have responded to this new segment. A lot of people have shared how this, you know, how they are mending things as well, or how this has also inspired them to get these long, this pile of mending projects that we, of course, we are not so excited about as we are about making new things. And I think it's a wonderful thing. So actually, I'm thinking of maybe having a mend along for this year. What do you think about that? Have a very gentle mend along where we can share our progress, you know, and also share some tips. I shared last time that I had, so I mended one of Seb's hand-knitted pullovers, and I actually did a very bad job at explaining it, actually, at explaining exactly the steps I went through. That happens sometimes when you're podcasting, you just blank on some things, and then when you edit it, you think, why didn't I go, you know, into more details about that? But what I did was, I crocheted back the stitches that had come unravelled, and then I grafted them with a Kitchener stitch, but it was a bit messy at the sides, so I also duplicate stitched these areas, but it's still not a perfect job. And a very kind viewer, I will insert your name here because I can't remember off the top of my head, I'm very sorry, but you mentioned that Anne Bad had a great craftsy video about that. It seems like a really good class to take, because my query was about mending, non-visible mending. So I know that there has been a great wave of visible mending, you know, a great trend of visible mending happening at the moment with Mending Matters by Katrina Rodebar. Also, a lot of you mentioned very kindly Tom of Holland, which is all wonderful. I mean, I absolutely love the pictures of, you know, visible mending on jeans, for instance. But I was also interested in learning the skill of mending a knitted sweater seamlessly, as it were. So yes, so continuing on this effort that I'm making in 2019, you know, to mend more things. This is a coat that I made 10 years ago. It's a Vogue coat, Vogue 8346. And it's a very dear coat to me because I made it when I was living in London 10 years ago in January 2009. So it's a very long coat with very girly, really, with you know, princess seams, a very full skirt, very wide shawl collar as well. And so the outside is this beautiful dark purple wool blend. It's a blend of wool and mohair. It's very warm. And the inside is silk, which is really lovely. It's a paisley print, but because it's silk, it's definitely more fragile, and I don't think it was the smartest choice for this coat. So I've been mending this coat repeatedly since I made it, but it's again fraying, as you can see. For instance here, the seams tend to give out in the lining, so I have to mend this again, and so I'm not sure this time if I'll just be able to simply mend the existing lining, or if I'll have to actually sew a new lining into the coat. So I'll see. I'll just first try and mend the existing lining, and then we'll see if that is you know, if I'm actually able to do that, or if there just isn't enough fabric left. Another thing with this coat is the buttons, which, so these are sew on snaps, and the problem is these metal snaps actually cut through the thread, which is a bit silly, isn't it? So I keep having to sew the snaps back on because the thread actually gets cut by the buttons. So I also have to do a bit of stitching therapy here. If you have any ideas about that, how to fix this, how to remedy this problem, do let me know. But so far I haven't come up with a good solution. But I do love the fact that when you actually snap this, so it is double-breasted, and when you snap it, you have no apparent closure on the front. So I think it's really, really neat. I'll insert a picture of me wearing this as well, so you can see the overall effect. But yeah, I really, really love that coat, and there's no way I'm stopping, you know, I'm going to stop wearing this coat because of the lining and all, you know. So yes, that is my mending project and my mending plans for February. For a bit of sewing, I haven't been able to do much since last time, but I did sew up something, which is one of the things I'm wearing today. So let me stand up so you can see. So what I made this since last time is this cardigan, which is from a French designer. It's a very, very well-known pattern in the French sewing community. It is Le Gilet Cannelle de Christelle Benetou, so the cinnamon cardigan by Christelle Benetou. It's a very, very simple cardigan, very much in the same style as the Blackwood cardigan by Helen's Closet. It's just a different kind of tailoring. It's more tailored precisely, and it really is made also for as some sort of a jacket. Yes, so it has the same principle of, you know, bands at the front to finish the fronts. It's an open cardi, obviously. The sleeves especially are, I don't know, they're you know, the fit is very different. And so I made this specifically because to wear over my Erel blouse, which I showed you last time. I sewed this, it was my first sewing project of 2019, and I have a hand knit black cardigan, but the sleeves are really, really narrow. Actually, that is one of the things that I'm thinking of mending or, you know, refashioning this year, is to rip out these sleeves actually and knit them larger, wider, because they're so fitted that I can't wear this cardigan over blouses that are, or tops or dresses that have, you know, with sleeves that are a little wide, which is the case of this blouse. As you can see, you know, the sleeves are wide, and you have this cuff as well, which takes a bit of space, of volume. And so yes, so I actually couldn't really wear this cardigan comfortably with this, and so it meant that because it's quite cold at the moment, I couldn't actually wear this top for, you know, to get to work, etc., because I didn't have a proper cardigan, handmade cardigan to go with it. So that is why I whipped this up. It's a really, really fast make, just as the Blackwood is, you know, and so this is made in jersey fabric, and the pattern recommends thicker fabrics. Also, you need to be aware, if you want to wear this as a jacket, you need to cut out larger sleeves, and that's exactly what I did actually. I cut out larger sleeves, and I accommodated the arm size accordingly as well. I actually generally overall cut this out a size larger than I would, because I really want to be able to wear this comfortably, precisely to avoid what I have with my knitted black cardigan. And I already have obviously fitted black cardigan with my Wensleydale hand knitted one. So yes, so this really works well as a a layering piece, you know, some sort of a jacket to wear under a coat. And yeah, I really like it, and I think I'm going to get a lot of wear out of it. So regarding this fabric, and I really hesitated to make this actually in this fabric. This is a synthetic fabric. It's Milano jersey, and I've had this in my stash for a lot of time, years and years, before I became really aware of the impact, you know, the environmental impact of synthetic fibers. So, you know, a very, very long time ago. I've had this in my stash for so long. That's the reason why I never sewed it up. But then I thought, you know, it's there, it's already been produced. So eventually I did sew it up, because it's a very warm fabric actually. So it's got the advantage of being really slinky and, you know, not on the thick side, but of being really, really warm. It's not ideal, it's definitely not a fabric I love in this respect. I would much rather have this, you know, in a merino jersey, but it's also, I think, good to go with what I have already rather than go buy something new. I don't know, that was my reasoning behind using it anyway. So yes, here's a close-up of the fabric. So you can see it's quite shiny. So Milano jersey is a double knit fabric, so it's completely reversible, and it's a double thickness from what you usually get. And it's a pretty stable fabric as well. It doesn't have a lot of stretch, a lot of give. So it's great for this kind of structured garment. Okay, I'll remove it now actually, because you always get quite warm when you put cast for some reason. So I don't think I need it right now. And this way you can also see my lovely Erel blouse in the Falling Flowers fabric by Lise Taylor, which I shared last time but I didn't wear, so this way you get to see it worn as well. So yes. So lastly, regarding what I've been sewing, I did cut out a new project, which is quite exciting. So I cut it out in this lovely fabric, also by Lise Taylor, which is her Miss Renard fabric. So this one is the light pink version. And I cut out, after much deliberation, I cut out this lovely pattern, which is the Môme blouse by P&M Patterns. And so this is a new to me pattern company. They used to make a lot of children's patterns. It's a French company as well, and they recently have been publishing more and more patterns for women as well. And so I think they're getting more and more popular. And I was so impressed with this pattern. So I cut out I prepared the pattern pieces and cut out the fabric already. This is a fabric remnant that I have. I am so impressed with this. So let me show you, if I have it here, hopefully I do, all the variations that you can sew out of this pattern. So here you go. So you see, you can sew so many variations. So sleeveless, 3/4 sleeves, long sleeves. You have several possible cuffs for the sleeves. You have these lovely ruffles, if you want, and then you have these beautiful ruffles, which is what I love in this design. So you have princess seams, and you can, if you want, add ruffles to these seams. And so you have either wide ruffles or narrow ruffles, or you can layer them up so that you have both, which is so beautiful. And then you have the option of the tie as well, which I'm not going to do. I love it. I love the look of the pattern. Most of the pictures shared by the designers have the tie, but I'm really, really short, and I know that generally ties can be a little hit or miss for me because of the way at which they hit me. I have a short torso, so sometimes it can be really tricky. It's either uncomfortable or it's just too wide, and so it doesn't hit me at the right spot. So I decided to forego the tie. Also I thought, because I'm going to do the wide ruffle, and I thought having, it's not ruffles, it's flounces actually, which is a lot better, a lot more elegant, because you don't have extra fabric. It's, you know, it's this kind of curved pattern piece that is just going to curve and to be a flounce rather than have a lot of, you know, gathers. You don't gather anything. So yeah, I'm going to have the, you know, the wide flounces on each side, and I thought that would be already quite a lot of fabric. Also, this fabric has a lot of interest. There's a lot going on there. So when you have, I think when you have a really busy fabric, a beautiful, gorgeous fabric that you want to show off, I think it's best to, you know, less is always more, I think. So yes, yeah, I'm very, very excited about that project. I can't wait to sew it up. But the worst is behind me. I'm not a fan of cutting out, you know, preparing pattern pieces and cutting out the fabric. So this is all done. So now the fun part can begin. So I'm really excited about this. Finally, in terms of sewing plans, Recently, I shared in my previous episode that I received some news about, you know, my health that meant I have to deal with a long-term condition, and I saw my specialist, I think since we last chatted, and she said something that would help would be to take yoga. So I've started to dip my toes into yoga. I'm trying to find a class nearby that will fit my limitations, but I've also been taking classes online, especially of course the wonderful YouTube channel Yoga with Adrian, who is absolutely amazing, and she's got videos for everyone and for every situation. And I'm really, really loving it actually. So I have to say this has been a wonderful silver lining to this whole early, you know, 2019 not being that great for me. The wonderful silver lining is I've been attracted to yoga for a long time, but never really done it seriously. And now I feel this is the time. This is the, you know, my call to do it. And I've really enjoyed it. I've actually managed to practice every single day. So sometimes shorter sessions, obviously, if I'm really, really busy, but I haven't missed a single day for the past 10 days, which is lovely. And I absolutely love it. I feel it's changed my whole like outlook and the way I feel, you know, throughout the day, really. So, so yes. Back to sewing. I do have a yoga, I did purchase, because I really need it rather fast, a yoga, like yoga leggings out of actually organic fabric, which is lovely. And I do have also an organic cotton top that I've been wearing, but because I'm doing it every day, I think I need, you know, more outfits, at least another outfit. And so I'm thinking of sewing especially some tops. And I have some beautiful black tencel fabric, which is this extremely comfortable and drapey fabric. I'm not sure what you'll be able to see of the fabric. You know, it's probably not very interesting on screen, but it's a very, very drapey, silky fabric. So jersey, very, very stretchy as well. And I like tencel because it is a man-made fibre, like viscose, like synthetic fibre, of course. And like viscose, it is a plant-based fibre, but in terms of the environment, it is better than viscose because the trees that are used are eucalyptus, and so they can be harvested in Europe. They don't need extra water, you don't need to water them, they don't need that much water, and of course in Europe you do have rains. And also the whole manufacturing process is more environmental friendly because the solvents you need to transform the pulp into fabric is vegetal based actually, so it's not toxic and so it does not pollute the water. Also, I believe they reuse the water, and they're able to reuse the water several times, or maybe, you know, infinitely, so that they don't have a huge water consumption even when they are actually making the fabric. So it's a great option if you want something that is really silky and breathes and really silky, you know, comfortable and drapey. So I'm thinking of making a plantain t-shirt out of this. Plantain is the free t-shirt pattern by Durando. I love it. I've made it several times in the past. It's a great t-shirt pattern. So if you love to sew and want a quick project, you want some instant gratification from a project, sew the Plantain by Durando. You just need to register on the website. All of the patterns are bilingual. All of their patterns are really great, and it's a bit, it's scooped, and then it's a little more fitted at the top, but then it flows on the hips. So I think it's perfect for yoga, actually. So I'm quite excited about this. And then if I realise I do more and I want to make more outfits, then I will be purchasing Melissa Fair's Sew Your Own Activewear book. Melissa is a good friend of mine. We've been friends on the sewing community, in the sewing community, for more than a decade now. She's a wonderful person, incredibly inspiring, and she published this book last year, I think. She also has a craftsy, well, blueprint class on this, on Sew Your Own Activewear and specifically serging, I think. So let's move on to knitting now, shall we? But first, a bit of tea before it gets cold. Well, no, it's completely cold already. Fail. Never mind. So yes, I hope all of your drinks are still hot though. So yes, a bit of knitting. I actually have quite a lot to share, which I'm quite excited about, because what I'm really glad about is that last time I podcast wasn't that long ago, so I'm really excited to see that I've already managed to finish quite a few things. So first of all, I finished and actually just blocked that, still a little bit damp, my Christmas Eve cast on. So this took me exactly a month. I finished them on the 25th of January. And these are the lovely Twinkling Tree socks by Little Bobbins, of course, lovely Danny of Little Bobbins. Hello Danny, if you're watching. I do hope you're doing really well. So I absolutely loved knitting these. So this is the DK version. And so you can see the little trees, the lovely little trees. You can definitely see them better in real life, to be honest. Though, you know, see, because it's really 3D, but a very delicate and subtle 3D. But you have these cute little baubles there on top of the trees. And so the yarn I used was a kit from Hedgerow Yarns, who dyes in the UK. She dyes absolutely gorgeous yarn. And so yes, it's a DK sock kit that she had with the matching mini, and it's her Iantis colourway. Yes, so I absolutely love these socks. I'm so excited to have finished them, and I'm very excited to be wearing them as well, because they're DK, so they're going to be really warm. I really want to knit more DK socks because they are so fun, so fast, and again great for me when I'm, you know, I feel my all of my hand knit socks are in fingering weight, and because our floors are tiles, which is typical of southern France, you want really cold floors for the summer. It does mean they're really cold in the winter, and so I typically have really cold feet, even with my hand knit socks. So I'm really excited to be knitting more DK socks this year. So yes, that is my first finish, and then my second finish is I've woven in almost every end, but there are still a couple left to weave in, but it's blocked and it's lovely. It is my Alice cardigan by Marianne Munier. I'm going to slip it on. It doesn't match my top at all, but never mind. I love it. I love it so much. I did run out of yarn, quite a considerable amount actually. I had to purchase an extra ball of yarn and I knit it all up, actually almost all up. So do be aware of this. Maybe plan ahead, plan an extra skein if you want to knit this design. But here it is. So yeah, as you can see, it has this lovely band of braid all around the neckline. Yes, and then you have this I-cord as well, which you knit at the same time. So another word of advice that I would add as well is to knit this like the first 3 stitches and the last 3 stitches of every row with this I-cord edging. Knit them super loose, and I that's what I did, because I saw in some of the test knit versions that, you know, this tended to be tight and to like be, you know, ride up a little, and so I figured that was because of that, and so I knit it really loose so that it sits right. So word of advice in this respect, you know, it's a lovely design. I really like it. So it's a raglan cardi with, you know, as you can see, the fronts are a little bit shorter than the back. And I made this specifically to wear over my dresses, my winter spring dresses, and it's going to go really well over quite a few of my dresses actually. So yeah, I wanted a good, elegant basic to wear over these dresses. So the yarn here is Dererum Natura. It's the Penelope DK, which is 90% organic French local merino and 10% silk, and it's a worsted spun yarn, contrary to like their Gilliatt or their Ulysses or their Cyrano, which is woolen spun and 100% merino. So it's quite a different effect. This is very much, this actually really looks like more commercial yarn, if you see what I mean. So if you're, again, I think I said that last time, if you're dipping your toes into more organic, natural wools, that would be, I think, a good candidate for you. That being said, personally, I really like my cardi. I really like the final effect. You know, the yarn is really drapey and shiny. But personally, I actually prefer the woolen spun yarn, the more like natural looking yarn, like the Gilliatt and the Cyrano and the Ulysses to this one. To be honest, I love it, but if I were to choose between the two, I would choose the woolen spun variation in the brand. So yes, and the shade is not the cream, it's actually colder variation from the écru. It's orgeat, so it's like a very muted, it's very hard to describe actually, because it's not cream. It's just a greyish cream if you want, or grey, very light oatmeal. But yeah, it's not yellow at all, which is exactly what I wanted, which is great. I also finished my sparkling side hat by Kristin of Villeneuve. Hello, Kristin. And yes, it's absolutely lovely. I loved knitting this. Okay. It's knit with a strand of long yarns, merino, their fingering weight merino, and that I had in my deep stash, and one strand of their alpaca superlight, and I love it. I really do love it. It has this lovely halo. Hopefully you will see this halo. I really love it. And so actually I knit this for a friend, so I'm going to send it out now that I've podcast about it, and yeah, it's super soft. So yeah, love it. Great job, Kristin. It's a great design. Very delicate. And my current knitting project is my Romy sweater by the lovely Anna of Along avec Anna, who is a French knitting designer who lives in England. And I absolutely love this. Oh dear, I love this so much. I'm at an awkward time actually, because I'm about to, actually I finished knitting the front and the back. I separated for the sleeves, and I'm about to do the, to join the shoulders, actually, the shoulders, and then all I have left to do is knit the sleeves and the neckline. So not long now. Next time I'll podcast, I definitely have it finished. I'll definitely have this finished. So here you go. So it has this lovely hem, delicate lacy hem that I love so much. And yeah, I'm so in love with this colour. So as you can see, I made mine really wide. I actually made this, it's 115 centimeters wide. It's a lot of positive ease for me, which is what I wanted. I wanted a cropped, very boxy pullover. And so for the yarn, I am using Serious Texture Crafts Falkland Merino, which sadly you can no longer get because Sarah no longer dyes yarn because of allergies, but she was a wonderful UK based yarn dyer. She was in Devon. So that the shade is Wedgwood, beautiful shade. And to match, I have some merino from Drops, their Kit Silk Merino, in the shade. I made a mistake last time. I put cast, it's not the, I think I said steel blue, it's just the light sky blue shade. It's the shade 007. So the mixture, the combination of these two is creating this incredibly soft texture. Buttered kittens, as Kristin would say, Kristin of the Le Boule and Vin Yarns podcast. Yes, this is definitely buttered kittens. It's just, oh my goodness, it's so incredibly soft. So yeah, it's really lovely. Actually, Anna will be at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and she will be on the stand of Malview Yarns, because there will be kits for this particular pullover over there. So that's quite exciting. I love Malview yarns. They dye with plants, so that's quite exciting. And they have beautiful types of wool as well in their yarns. So I can't wait to pay them a visit. So yes, that is it for my finished projects and my current project. I also wanted to share a few plans with you because I didn't have time last time I podcast. So first, I was planning a knit along with my good friend Lise Taylor. Last year we did a knit along for a colourwork sweater, which was the Windfall sweater by Jennifer Steingart, who is Knit Love Wool, who is amazing. And so we were planning on knitting the Fern and Feather, also by Jennifer Steingart, which had been in both our queues for a while. It's a super popular design. And the yarn I am planning to knit it with is Tererum Natura, this time the woolen spun yarn, the Gilliatt, my beloved Gilliatt. And so this is fig, and poivre blanc, white pepper. So fig is going to be the main colour, and poivre blanc is going to be the contrast. And oh dear, I love this so much. So the fig is really dark. A cloud just went over the sun, so I'm sure the colours will have changed quite a bit, the lighting will have changed quite a bit. So I apologise for this, but hopefully you can see this well. I think it's quite true actually on the screen. It's a very dark purple. Again, I plan on making this quite loose-fitting. I made my Windfell really loose-fitting, and I think it's one of the reasons why I wear it so much, because it's super comfortable and it goes over everything. It goes over dresses, over like textured leggings like treggings. It goes over everything. So I'm thinking of doing the same thing here. I'm very excited. Liz just told me she might not be able to do the knit along right now because she's super busy. So we haven't determined yet whether we will be knitting something else, and so I can knit this now, in which case I will start as soon as I'm done with my Romy, or if we're just going to wait a few months and knit it together later. And in that case, if I'm not knitting this straight away, then my next project will be also super special, because it will be knit from very, very meaningful, soulful yarn. Oh, this is so beautiful, isn't it? So this is gorgeous, completely natural Jacob from the United States, as you can see. So it's from Round Balm Fiber Mill in Illinois. And this, actually I looked it up online, and you haven't much information about this yarn because it's so, like, it's so local that it's not a big, it doesn't come from any big company at all. But it is from a small farm of Jacob sheep. And this yarn was a gift from my very, very good friend Erin, whom I will be attending EYF with. We'll be sharing an Airbnb together, actually. And so she gave this to me on my birthday in 2018, because she knows I love Jacob. I really loved the Jacob by Blacker Yarns. And it's, this is so gorgeous. You know, it's undyed, super, super soft, so, I don't know, so springy and happy. I don't know, to me it's a really happy yarn. It's really, really beautiful. So it's a 2-ply fingering, actually I had a vision. I had a colleague the other day who came into the office with this kind of a cardigan in this kind of shade, and I thought it was so elegant, and so I immediately thought of this and thought, oh, now I know what I can make with this. And so I searched Ravelry, and I decided to, so what I'm going to knit with this is Old Town by Carol Sunday. I'm probably going to knit it a little shorter than the original design, and but it's, you know, it's going, I think it's going to be a great, elegant cardigan to wear over many, many different things, because the colour is so neutral, you know. So yes, I'm really, really excited about this as well. So 2 very exciting and soulful projects ahead in terms of my knitting as well. So that is it for today, friends. On these very, very exciting prospects, I will leave you. I do hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to keep the conversation going, I would love to know what you've been drinking whilst you were watching the podcast, and also what are your current, you know, what is making you happy in your making at the moment? What, in, you know, in your knitting or your sewing, what is making you really excited? Yeah, I would love to hear about that, you know, either on Ravelry or in the comments on YouTube. Yeah, I forgot to mention that we do have a Ravelry group for the podcast as well. So yes, I hope you enjoyed. Let's keep talking on Instagram and Ravelry and in YouTube, and yeah, until next time, friends, I do hope your making brings you joy. Bye bye.